Hello and welcome to the Grid Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. This is the news crew, and I'm your host, Keith McGinty. Rejoice one and all, as at the time of recording, there are only 50 days until the NFL 2023 season kicks off, with the reigning Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Smash Mouth Supremos that are the Detroit Lions. Tonight, we're going to talk secondary teams, QBs, TVs, retirees, and RBs. To talk some ball, I'm joined by some of the finest crew members. Craig, we've got the crew's Kirk cousin, a real Mr. Nice Guy until you get a drink in him, then the shirt comes off and the jewellery goes on. Budger, how are we, buddy?
Not bad, mate, not bad. I like that intro. Very fitting after my antics on Saturday. But no, doing great. Still a wee bit jet lagged. I was just talking to Liam about that before we came on. Get back from the US on Friday last week, so I still up to all hours, but no, otherwise never better, bud, never better.
Fantastic, good to hear from you. We've also got Liam, our own Jordan Love, the quiet man, but a real silent assassin. Liam, how was Florida, buddy?
It was awesome, yeah. It was amazing. Over in a flash, but a lot of fun it was had. Sore feet, but good fun all round.
Fantastic. What was your favourite park to go to?
I don't know what it was. It's hard to say favourite park. I think it might be rides probably. I think Guardian of the Galaxy was a top ride. That was a nice new one to go on. And was it Epcot, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
It's a cool coaster. I would recommend.
Fantastic. Went to see the third one with my wee boy. It was surprisingly much better than we were expecting. It took the two of us by surprise. It was wonderful. Also joined by Gav, the crew's giant analytical brain. That isn't entirely in proportion to his massive frame. Gav, it was great to meet you in person the other day. We'll talk about that a wee bit later on. But how are you, buddy?
Yeah, it's a pleasure and great to see everyone in person. I think, talking on the pod sometimes a bit of an equalizer on the height front. So yeah, good to meet everyone and get a bit of Brit Ball action.
It was a great wee day on Sunday, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in our news segment. And finally, enjoyed by Studs, the big chief and self-proclaimed Brittany Mahomes super fan. Studs, how are we today? And remembering you're on mute. And pause.
Oh, he's frozen.
And he's frozen. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Back. Sorry, boys. First technical match before we've even really got going. So apologies. Hopefully, I was in process of pausing everybody else's internet connection in the house. So I'll no doubt get shouted at to see if that helps.
That's all right. Craig, you would have noticed on Saturday night it was just a slogan up to the bar, wasn't he?
That's it. He's done booting the wains off of Netflix. That's it. You're hogging the bandwidth. I a pod here.
It's back to the old dial-up days, you know. The phone cuts out.
Hyperspeed's not reached Hamilton yet. Our kick-off question this evening, then, looking at the NFL, and the camaraderie of the NFL fans is well known. Unlike our football, there's no segregation between fans at matches. So, what I'm looking from you guys then, is there any teams in the NFL that you have a particular soft spot for? Who's your second team? Gav, I'm going to come to you first for this one. Have you got a second team? There's two in New York. Obviously, you can pick the green guys over there.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, a very Glasgow thing with a blue and green divide there. But no, I think... For me, I guess actually there's a wee hint in the sweatshirt today, so a bit of the Honolulu Blue and Detroit Lions, actually. So, yeah, I guess that's a team that's probably had its, well, I was going to say its share of ups and downs, but mostly downs over the years. But I guess with these poor seasons comes some really exciting draft picks. And I think that's a team that certainly over the time I've been following the NFL, had some cracking individual players. We've had the likes of Ndamukong Suh, Matthew Stafford, obviously still going. And then you've got Megatron himself, Calvin Johnson, and actually Ford Field is a place I've been to a couple of times as well. so have a wee connection to that as well. So yeah, it's always good to see them doing reasonably well, at least when they're not playing the Giants. But yeah, it's still hunting for that elusive playoff win.
Fantastic. So what was it got you into the Lions? Was it Eddie Murphy's Beverly Hills Cop or Timothy Oman Taylor?
I think actually, like a lot of guys, it's funny how things like Madden will get you going, and actually picking one of the worst teams and trying to turn them around always felt like a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I think especially, sort of 20 odd years ago when you first watching NFL, Lions probably not one of the darlings of Channel 4 or Sky Sports in terms of getting a live fixture. But yeah, even as they just kind of taking the losers and trying to turn them around in Madden was probably a starting point there.
Fantastic. Liam, I'll come to you next. You, of course, you're a resident Green Bay Packers fan. Have you got a secondary team that you like to keep a wee eye out for?
So I was trying to think about this. I thought I should go AFC since the Packers and NFC, but I've always kind of liked watching, certainly recently anyway, the 49ers, just with Kyle Shanahan. I know they're technically our rivals and all seem to beat us in the playoffs more often than not. But yeah, I don't know. I just like, I don't know, Shanahan, I suppose recently with the what was the Play Callers podcast, and the Athletic was talking about the kind of the coaching tree and things like that, and the kind of schematics of it all. But they've always kind of had fun, entertaining games, really. And I suppose something to do with the skill players. Certainly at the moment they've got Debo and now McCafferty there as well, and Kittle and things like that. But it's always been kind of always liked seeing them on Red Zone every so often, seeing what they're up to. So
that's certainly an entertaining side to keep a wee eye out for. Craig, what about yourself?
I was having a think about, like, I've been watching the NFL for a good few seasons now, but still kind of fairly new to it. And I was thinking back to, like, when I was younger, like if I'd got into the NFL earlier, what teams might have picked. Like, you know me now, Keith, I bleed purple and gold. But
absolutely.
But yeah, when I was younger, like one of the very first ever bits of like NFL merchandise I ever got was my dad went traveling. I think it was in business, and he went to Atlanta. And he brought back this Atlanta Falcons, like, the big kind of like flags that you can put up, the big kind of triangle ones that you can stick up your wall. He brought me back one of them, and I remember I had that in my bedroom wall for ages. And then I was thinking about if I was going to pick another team, pick somewhere in the States that I'd been to. So like being in New York, so I thought maybe pick one of the New York teams. So. Yeah, possibly might have ended up being a Giants fan. You never know. And then been at Florida a few times, most recently with Liam just last week. So I think, like, most recently, the Jags have always been a team that I've kind of kept a kind of close eye on because they've had this kind of rejuvenation, if you like. And yeah, like starting to play some like really entertaining football. So I'll be keeping a close eye on them this season, and hopefully they have a pretty decent run. So yeah, Jags for me.
Nice, and they've got their new stadium coming up in the next couple of years. It'd be interesting to get over and see that sometime. Studs, Big Chief, yourself, what about you? Who are you going for as your second team?
Oh, Liam and Gav have probably both stole a wee bit of my answer, to be honest, because, well, my first experience in NFL was the old Joe Montana football game on the Sega Mega Drive, going back many, many moons when Montana was still with the 49ers. So, again, that was kind of my first exposure, probably, from that perspective, and then I followed Montana as a player I liked into his time at the Chiefs and kind of kept following him from that point, and then I lost touch with the NFL, got back in touch with it when I went over to America. But one of the players, and the reason I'm saying Gav probably stole a bit of my answer as well, is one of the players I absolutely loved in college from my time in America. I was a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, and I still think this guy was robbed of the Heisman as a defensive player, was Ndamukong Suh. To watch this guy playing was frightening, and then obviously he went to the Lions when he got drafted out of college, and again he's somebody that I kind of followed in his early career with the Lions, and had a bit of a reputation of a bad boy, shall we say, when he was with the Lions as well. So I think that side of it, again, seeing somebody progress from a college team straight into the NFL and seeing him still having the same kind of success he's obviously had, was something I could always like. So I tend to kind of follow players and see how those players are doing, and again, that kind of probably ties in more to the fantasy aspect of it now as well, when we want to see our players doing well.
I love how you have all went for right deep, well thought out answers, and I've went for the usual one when it comes to the west of Scotland, and I had to have a green team. I really had to just have a green team. So I remember in the 90s when I think many of us first started watching the NFL on Channel 4. The way they packaged those programs were just so enthralling and really sucked you in. And Lambeau was just something glorious, somewhere that I'd love to have went and been a part of and to have seen. And I loved the Packers, the uniforms that they had at the time. I never really had a set team growing up. It wasn't until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago that I decided that I was going to take Seattle as my team. I decided Seattle was going to be my team maybe about a decade ago, as my wee boy was being born. And I've said this before in the podcast that I chose Seattle as my American city because I just felt it was so much like Glasgow. It was up the west coast. It was rainy all the time. Culture, sports, music. It seemed to have loads of things that Glasgow shares and had similarities with. So that's why I chose Seahawks as my NFL team. But growing up, loved the imagery and the magic of Lambeau and the Green Bay Packers. Also, being a Celtic football fan, I was looking for a wee green team. So that's why I've got a couple of green T-shirts, got a Packers hoodie as well. But I've started to shy away from them. I'm starting to get drawn in more and more to just the Seahawks. It's all right. I keep it for like cutting the grass and stuff like that. So I'm not that bothered. I think it's a wee bit dirty. But yeah, that's my second team there. We'd love to hear from the listeners. Who is your first love? Who is the team that you tell everybody you support? But who's your wee bit on the side? Who's your Saturday night date when it comes to the NFL? Who's the one that you like to kiss behind the missus back? Not that we're condoning that whatsoever on the crew. Yeah, get in touch at Grid Irn-Cru on Twitter, Instagram, and on Stitch. Is it Stitch? What's it called?
Twitch.
No, what's the Threads? On Threads, the new one.
So down at the kids there.
Something to do with needlework.
I'll be honest with you, the Stitches I think is what I'm going to be getting for the missus if she's listening to this. Yeah, so love to hear from you. Get in touch with the crew. Great question. Good start us off. Get us up to date. Moving on to our news segment then of the show. I'm going to start off. Gav, Dan from the crew and I all went to the East Kilbride Pirates game on Sunday afternoon against the Manchester Titans. That was my first experience of Britball. I've got to say, Gav, don't know about yourself, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe a wee bit of Friday Night Lights and just not quite as much razzmatazz, but it was entertaining all the same. I've got to say, I absolutely loved it. Gav, how did you find the match on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely the same. So, I mean, I've been to a few Britball games over the years. I think the Pirates was probably actually the first team that I went to see back in 2003, living up in East Kilbride at the time. But I mean, it has come a long way in that time, both in terms of the style of play and also I think that the presentation. So I mean, as you say, it's maybe not quite in that Friday Night Lights level, but I mean, certainly you get the stands, you get the pitch side bar, you've got the merchandise stand, you've got the announcer in the stands. So you have really great setup, and I think for long stretches, a really competitive game. I mean, we saw East Kilbride were taking on the Manchester Titans and the Premier champions. So Manchester obviously pulled away a bit towards the end, but I think we really had a good old battle going for 3 quarters.
It certainly looked it, and one thing we commented on was the size of the Titans and the size of their squad as well. It was a bit like in Father Ted when Dougal's got the wee cows, the wee miniature cows, like small and far away. The Titans looked just as big as the Pirates, some of them, from the other side of the pitch as the guys closest to us. That some of them were absolute man mountains. It was great to see. Thoroughly entertaining game. Highlight for me would have been, well, there's 2 highlights. Gav, I think you want to take up the second one we discussed just before the pod, but for me, the 60-yard touchdown for the Pirates was just amazing to see. The spiral on the ball was thrown by the quarterback, the catch and run and getting past a couple of the players in the Titans to get in the end zone, and everybody was just taken away with it. It was just brilliant just how quickly you get roped up in it all, and thoroughly recommend getting along to some more Pirates games. What was your highlight of the match there, Gav?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Keith, just to expand on what you said there, first of all, I think that was a huge, momentum swing at that point in time. Pirates had quite a sluggish start team. I think really conservative offensively. So to all of a sudden see their QB uncork that bomb downfield and really get the team going, get the crowd up, because I think that's another call out. Really great attendance at the game, which I think is a fantastic thing to see. And then I guess going into the second half, so we had Titans looked like they were really going to turn momentum back in their favour by running the kickoff all the way back to the 1 yard line, and unfortunately their returner losing a wee bit of balance on the way there, but dropped the ball into the end zone. Pirates recover and kept themselves in the game. After a wee bit of a bomb scare. So, as I say, Titans dominant, but I think in that moment, just a little error that kept the EK hopes alive.
Who was the quarterback that did that a couple of years ago? Was it Danny Dimes running through? And
I don't think
he ran through, fell over.
He didn't fumble, but he did certainly trip himself up.
He kept the hold of the ball though.
Yeah.
Oh, it was magnificent. The guy got all the way there. And then you could see through the 10 yards, he started to take a wee stumble as if he was getting ready to celebrate, getting the hands, the security lifted up above his head, getting a wee bit ahead of himself. But it was wonderful to see it
was
drop.
It not against the Eagles as well? So it was like a division rival. And it was gone. And then you see Saquon Barkley up in the stand because he was injured and he's killing himself the whole time.
I think that could be a mini theme for the podcast: is Giants horror shows against the Eagles. More to come that later.
Fantastic. Definitely recommend anybody getting along to the what was the stadium again, Gav?
So it's GHA Rugby Club or Braidholme over in Giffnock, south side of Glasgow, and I believe it's the Merseyside Nighthawks that are up at 2:00 on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and that's the last Pirates game of this season at home. Thoroughly recommend anybody that can get along to it. It was great entertainment. Young and old were there. There was a great family atmosphere and some great banter in the stands as well. Thoroughly recommend it. Thoroughly well. That was Pirates. Let's move on then to our other pieces of news that we've got this week. And Studs, I'll come to you. Hard Knocks is starting on the 8th of August. Tell us a wee bit about this then.
Oh, yeah. So the Jets got, agreed, we'll put in quotation marks, to be the team. To be the team on Hard Knocks this year. So I believe this one will be following them through their pre-season preparations, getting ready for the season. Obviously, the big story there is Aaron Rodgers and all the glitz and glamour that Liam's very familiar with that he brings, and all the hallucinogens, shall we say, that he's probably going to be bringing. But
all legal, of course, all legal.
All legal. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think the Jets, the last time they were on it, provided some good entertainment. For me, you look at the kind of the media bump the Lions took last year and completely became media darlings last year after watching Dan Campbell and some of the players was just unbelievable. And I think teams that are available for Hard Knocks should really just lean into that. And I think that's what the Jets owners certainly tried to do. I don't think the playing staff has been so keen and the coaching staff have been as keen, but the owners certainly want to lean into that. New York's a massive media market anyway. So if the media wants to find out about the New York Jets, they're going to. So, but I think certainly from my perspective, the one thing I'm going to be probably watching is where's Breece Hall and how badly
the crew then. If you were to choose a team, do you think the Jets as the main choice for this season. Smudger, what do you think?
I think it'll be pretty interesting. Like as Studs kind of hinted at, like the Jets don't want to be on Hard Knocks at all. Like anyone that like has been put in the spotlight so far, like Roger said something like it's been forced down our throats and we just have to deal with it. Head coach wants nothing to do with it. He said there's loads of teams that want to be on Hard Knocks. We're just not one of them. I think it'll be fascinating though. Like you just look at like how much has changed with the Jets in the off season. You know, you get Rodgers coming in. How he and Zach Wilson, like what's their relationship going to be like? I think just the quarterback room is going to be really good telly to watch, and just to see how the Packers, the Jets. So I keep getting mixed up there.
It's going to be good to see
so
all the
many Packers play. I know it's like getting the old gang back together. So. No, I could be cracking telly. I mean, they'd certainly be up there as one of the teams that I'd be interested to watch in Hard Knocks. And I think it's just funny because I said they don't want to be on it.
There, I thought all the Americans all retired in Florida, but the ones for the Bay are all retiring through to New York, moving up in the world, Liam? Liam,
something like that.
What seasons have you watched yourself? What ones have you enjoyed previously?
Like I've watched a few of them. Like I've often had to catch up because I don't have Sky over here. So, I'm trying to think. Certainly,
not get
last
Netflix
couple of
either.
months. I know I don't know anymore. We'll come. That's a different story. I suppose it the Rams one was. I think was that. I'm trying to remember because I get mixed up between the Hard Knocks and the Amazon one they had on for a while. What was the Amazon one?
Nothing.
So Rams was 2020.
I quite enjoyed the Rams one. I vaguely remember that with McVay and things like that. Just seeing that kind of side of things, and kind of because
It's a great time as well.
I think it was just after they moved over from St. Louis, wasn't it? I think so, or not long after that. So that was a good one. And also last year, as Studs was saying, I did enjoy that, even if it was the Lions. I did quite enjoy that.
Yeah, Lions and the Cardinals last year. Shout out to Graham, I think it was, that I met at the Manchester United game today, waiting in the queue to go back to the tram station. There's a guy behind me with a Cardinal stop on, so it's quiet and shy and retiring as I am. I was trying to promote the podcast. I was asking him if he was a Cards fan. You could see him sheepishly going, "Oh no, yeah, I am." So I hopefully he's enjoying the podcast so far. Maybe get involved. That's something I'm going to throw out to any listeners. If anybody feels that they would like to add to the podcast and maybe a team that we've not got covered, you're more than welcome to get in touch with the crew, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Hard Knocks, Gav. Any particular season that you've thoroughly enjoyed or you would recommend? But I've got to admit myself, I've never watched any. I've seen the wee clips and the highlights, but I've not watched any of the seasons yet. So I think that's something I might do with the rest of my extensive summer.
Well, I've got to say, Keith, I've enjoyed them all equally because I'm in the same club as you that I've not seen a single season of it at all. So I think it's one that I think I had so many people in my ears saying about what a great show it is to see, and I think going back to your earlier question, the Jets really do feel like a good pick for this year's show, whether they like it or not. You've got a team that, and this isn't throwing shade because the Giants are right behind them. They were the worst team. The Jets were the worst team in the NFL over 5 years. All of a sudden get a wee bit of buzz about them, a bit of momentum, and then all of a sudden you get the Rodgers acquisition. So there is a bit of a feel that things are changing there. I think it's a good story to see. So that will hopefully be the kick that I need to get on the bandwagon.
Some other documentaries that have been on the TV just now, you'll not seen this, it's on Netflix, and I know yours has been revoked from your privileges. Better get your bedroom tidied, pal, and you might be able to get that back. Has been quarterback. Studs, hopefully your internet's keeping up with us this time. You're not watching Patrick Mahomes and a wee bit of Britney on the slide there. What have you made of the series so far?
To be honest, I've watched the first episode. My plan is this weekend I'm going to absolutely just sit a couple of beers. But I thought the first episode was superb. I loved the Patrick Mahomes, Max Crosby coming together. seen that in a bit more detail, and the fact that he's more or less just blacked out and not realised what he was saying to Max Crosby, I thought was absolutely hilarious. So, especially after all the memes about the Kermit the Frog memes about I'm here at the side of the park during the season. So getting a bit of background on that was quite entertaining. But I think I'm really interested to see Marcus Mariota. I think he's one that I'm really curious about his story, because obviously left the Falcons sort of midway through the season, so I'm curious to see how that played out, and I'm really hoping for a wee bit of Thuggins in the middle and seeing those chains coming out halfway through. I can't wait to get to that point.
I've got to say
we're
that
all there to see.
But the access that they've got so far has been tremendous. I think I've watched about 4 or 5 episodes so far. Just it's a great wee end to the night. Put the boys to bed, and then sneak downstairs and get a wee watch of quarterbacks. It's been terrific viewing. I know they're coming at it from a sympathetic side for the quarterbacks themselves and their family members, and I think it's really changed everybody's perception of Brittany Mahomes. She seems really switched on, just a massive fan of her man and her family person, but she's got her own things going on outside of the team as well, so she seems really, really switched on, different from the perception you maybe get from like her Twitter and the videos that gets posted of her. So really interesting. But the star of the show is Mr. Nice Guy himself, Kirk Cousins, Mr. Thuggins himself. I think it might even make one of our crew members, Shaney, change his opinion in Cousins. The soon to be Mr. Primetime. It's just a great watch. I was watching today, and Peyton Manning has said on the Pat McAfee show that it's been renewed for a second season. So the access that they're getting can only get better, and I'll be interested to see who they choose then for the second season of it. Wonder if Rodgers will be tied up with the Hard Knocks.
Yeah, Rodgers will go in there again. Not.
It could do a wee mini-series in which QB the 49ers are going to be choosing as well.
Yeah,
so
could watch go through all 3 of them. So
I'd love if they did like Joe Burrow or something like that. I think that would be absolutely brilliant.
Now, who we going then?
So,
Burrow.
So good.
Right, we go Burrow. We go to.
I think a rookie would be a good one. Like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, because it's going to be such a different story from somebody like Burrow, who's established and is one of the faces. So I think if you could get one of the rookies in there, Anthony Richardson, I think would be quite interesting, because he's obviously not slated to start right now. He's behind Minshew, who's obviously a character as well.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson this year might be good as well. Maybe a wee redemption story there.
Mr. Unlimited.
I was thinking about Danny Dimes might be a shout as well, and slightly quieter. Nice to see. Good to see what you like.
Take on the Kirk Cousins role.
Yeah, indeed.
What about your own Gino, Keith? Wee Gino spotlight. That would be pretty good.
Do you know, I was listening to a podcast earlier in the week, and it's put a wee bit of fear into Gino for me. Is just how he was a bit of an unknown last season, and people didn't know how to play against him. And for most of the season, he did great, but then towards the end, they had a wee bit of a falter because there was more tape on them. Hoping that's not the case for this season going forward. But he's got more weapons. He's got a lot more weapons. They've got different ways that we can hurt players, and the team's just getting stronger and stronger. And Gino, I trust. I have every faith in him.
Peyton wrote to Gino, but Gino didn't write back.
Very good. Lamar Jackson just got his bumper contract. That might be a good one. Tua.
Yeah, but the documentary is called Quarterback, Keith.
Not running back.
Which leads us nicely done, Gav. Which leads us nicely into another piece of news this week that we've had, and it's been no deal for Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. So no deals for the running backs there. What did we make of this then, Gav? Saquon, Josh Jacobs, I think he was offered just under what he actually gets from playing in the tag. It would work out as like maybe $500,000 less than if he just stays on the tag just now. should these guys have been getting paid? Should they have been getting an extension to their deals?
I think this has been something we've been talking about a lot through the off season. Obviously, Dalvin Cook in a similar situation a few weeks ago in terms of free agency. But I think what we're seeing now is that there is a question around the value of the running back position. There's no getting away from that. Derrick Henry chiming into the discussion on social media during the week as well. I mean, I think Saquon genuinely is a generational talent at the position, and has done some amazing things in his time with the Giants. Unfortunately, he's also not played a full season since his rookie year, including one season-ending injury after I think 2 games in his third season. So there is a real question around health, and you could say that applies to any player at any position. But unfortunately, it's not just miles on the clock, but actually it's time in the doctor's room that's an additional concern for Saquon. So I've got to say, if I'm in Joe we trust with the GM at the Giants, I think that it's a smart offer going with the franchise's tag for Saquon. There will definitely be interest. I think if he were to go into the market, but how much he would actually get, I think that's a big question mark.
So the tag, how long does that tie them to the club for?
It's
1
a
year
1 year
studs,
deal.
you're saying? Yeah, so 1 year deal. At the end of that, do they release them? Do they then go, Liam, do they then look at the rookies that are coming in? Do they maybe take a wee third rounder? Because it seems that the running backs don't get the respect that other positions, even kickers, seem to get.
No, well, it's crazy. Like, you just think now, like, I suppose it's been trending this way for a while now. And like, if you're a young, high school, college player, why would you want to play running back anymore?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get paid. And you just think it's just some ways the NFL's rod for their own back, because all they're going to get is less talent in the position. So then again, you're not going to pay. In theory, they don't deserve the top money because they're not a generational talent, sort of thing, inverted commas. So it's just going to get worse and worse. And like, in some ways, I don't really know what the solution is, really, to be honest with you. I think it's like, as a personal level, a personal level in the sense of running backs, I think it's a shame because they put the one. Well, I know every player in the team put their body on the line, but I wouldn't fancy running at brick walls every day of the week, sort of thing. So yeah, I don't really know what's fixing. Like, you look at, I was kind of looking at there's a stat came up about, I think it's the Eagles. I've got the cheapest running back room this season. I think they've got $1 million for Penny and like $2 million for Swift. And like, that's not a bad running back room, really, if they can stay healthy. So you're like, maybe that's what it's for GMs. It's probably the smart decision not to pay them, but so it's a business in the end, isn't it?
It is indeed. One of your running backs, Craig, has just left the club. He's a free agent, Dalvin Cook. Did you have much love for him? Are you sad to see him go, or are you happy to move on from him?
I was, sad to see him go, but I think ultimately it was the right decision, because Dalvin Cook, along with guys like, say, Saquon or your Alvin Kamara's, your Leonard Fournette's, all of these kind of guys, they get to that point in their late 20s where the stats don't lie, and the injuries do start to stack up and the risk becomes greater. I was interested to see that possibly the Patriots are rumored to potentially be interested in him, but I see that Studs, you mentioned it, that Playoff Lenny might be, I think it was today actually, training with the Patriots, or being hosted by the Patriots. I don't know in what capacity, but all of these free agents are going to be circling around for a wee while. I suspect they will be until there's a big pre-season injury. We see a big name go down, and it's going to be at that point that it's going to force the hand of a lot of organisations. Just interesting on the Barkley one. So reportedly they were only about maybe a couple of million or so off, like negotiation wise, from what he wanted to what was offered. But apparently he turned down a contract that was worth $13 million a year with just under $20 million guaranteed. And then they kind of called his bluff and said, we're not budging on $11 million per year. And basically he's now said, they've not come to an agreement. But if he'd taken the offer that he turned down initially, that's kind of what he was after. And basically the organisation said, no, sorry, offer's off the table now. So it sounds like a wee bit like they've called his bluff on it. But I saw he tweeted day before yesterday, it is what it is. So doesn't sound as if he's particularly happy about it. But I was reading as well that as far as the franchise tag's concerned, the team's got another franchise tag in 2024 that could keep him off of free agency. And if he gets held again, he's guaranteed $22.2 million if he plays on back-to-back tags in 2023 and 2024. So he might get a wee bonus out of that as well.
Yeah, I think it's the average salary of the top 5 players at the position for the first year, and then if you do it in back-to-back years, there's I think a 25% bump.
The other thing I was reading about the franchise tag though was they can hold out and not be penalised. Basically,
no fines.
There's no fines because they haven't signed the tag, so they're technically.
Won't get fines, but won't get paid either.
Well, they won't get paid, but I suppose, yeah, true, they won't get paid, but they won't get penalised for it. So wait a year and get some more money somewhere else. I don't know. So
the Josh Jacob one for me is interesting because he was something like 80% of the biggest offense last year, or touchdowns or something like that. There was a crazy stat I heard. I can't remember what it was, but it might have been touchdowns. I think he was 80% of their touchdowns. So him and Adams are essentially their offense. So to not get a deal done for him is just carnage. I mean, what's the Raiders offense going to look like? Who's Jimmy G or Brian Hoyer going to throw to? Do you know what I mean? Or hand the ball off to? But is it Brandon Bolden? I think is the next man up after that, or Xavier White?
Xavier White. Yeah.
So
I suppose the writing was on the cards for Jacobs in some ways because they declined his 5th-year option, did they not? And then they ran him to the ground last season.
Basically. We're going to get every single bit out of you before we punt you on Gumtree.
He's still only 25 or something like that. He's one of the younger running backs.
25, 26 or something.
He's still really young.
I think this could maybe be a discussion point for a future Crew Deep Shot where we look at all the running backs who are available just now that have had success in their time but seem to be just cast aside just now. That's maybe something we can look at just now. Someone who, now I might have got this wrong, when I read it, Deshaun Jackson was announcing his retirement, but Craig, you've corrected me on this.
Apparently he's on social media has come out and said, "Oh no, hold the bus. I've been misquoted or misunderstood. He's not officially retired yet. So who knows what he'll end up doing next season if somebody does take a punt on him somewhere. But it just feels like he's been around for ages. I was looking at just some of his stats. He's probably best known as an Eagle, but he's kind of gone there, then left, gone. He was at the Bucks for a while. He went back to the Eagles. He had that weird spell at the Rams where he started the season and then requested a trade, and then nobody could get anything done, so they chucked him. But he still got a Super Bowl ring out of it, which was quite a classy touch by the Rams after him basically spitting the dummy out, I thought. And then he was it Baltimore last year, and he went to the Raiders, I think, kind of in between. So he's a bit of a journeyman. He's kind of gone all over the place. But yes, apparently he's not done yet, according to his latest social media. So
there you go. So maybe he hasn't retired. Maybe he's maybe we'll find him wind up in the CFL. So stay tuned for Stu's spin-off podcast on the CFL. He's desperate to get that up and running. The only other piece of business that I could think of then has been I'm flashing off my retro Seahawks logo here. The Seahawks announced that they're going to be having a throwback shirt. I can't remember which date it is that we're going to be playing. But the video that I saw with Jackson Smith and Jigba wearing it, and it looks absolutely terrific. I think we're going to have to start a Patreon if I'm going to be able to afford to get a couple of the gear that goes with this, guys. It looks terrific. The throwback stuff, that should be a staple. It should be a weekend every season where everybody gets a chance to wear some of their old clobber. I think is absolutely terrific. What did you make of the throwback then? Is it one of the better ones? Anyone? I'll throw it out.
I thought it was quite nice. I do like throwback or the alternative jerseys every season they kind of put out there. I suppose I don't know if it's a bit coming from good old fashioned football in the UK. All the jerseys every season, which you do get a bit sick of every year. They want more money out of you for the next top. So it is a bit nicer. It's not always maybe quite every season, or it's a bit more selective, but it's quite cool to see from time to time.
Yeah, I've got to say, it's not really a throwback, but I think personal favourite for me is just that all-white Bengals uniform. Even the helmets just look superb. I think they even got a game with that in the snow, which just completed the look. So for me, and I guess we should have Stu here to chime in that, but I'd have them playing that jersey every week.
That's always good because I always look at the Simpsons clip with Siegfried and Roy with the white tiger attacks. It's always good for that.
Did you see the announcement video for it? The wee walkthrough that they do, and it's all retro. Brilliant. It's got a retro throwback kind of
Walkman.
Like kind of early 90s type Walkman and stuff going at the kitchen, and it's pretty cool. There's a whole bunch though. I get a bit taken aback that the Vikes released a throwback yesterday as well, which looks class and is already there's definitely a hole getting burnt in my pocket to go and buy that one because it looks really nice. And the Titans are releasing an Oilers throwback in a day or two, I think. So there's going to be a few more to come, hopefully, because they are brilliant. There's no doubt about it. I think there's definitely an appetite for it. So. Hopefully see a few more teams bringing out some retro throwback jerseys before we kick off.
You've got the Lions as well.
Commanders.
Aye.
Sorry, the Lions, what you're saying?
Aye, the Lions have got their all grey ones with the old school line on the side of the helmet. So they've got one coming out this year as well.
Very nice. Very nice.
I guess the other one that's probably worth throwing out there is the Bucks have recently brought back the brown uniform.
Oh, that's right.
The creamsicles.
They had that name for it, didn't they?
Which I don't know. It's funny you mentioned Channel 4 earlier, and I remember, for me, I think that was the time the Bucks did their big rebrand and brought out the kind of all red jerseys, and I thought they looked the part. So even if it was for a week, I'm actually quite sad to see them bringing back their original uniforms.
A lot of fans, if you're listening to Good Morning Football and stuff, they absolutely love those creamsicle tops, and they've been crying out for them to go back to those throwbacks for a while now. So again, it's an orange top, so I'm West of Scotland bias coming in. This kind of does appeal to me. Let's just say that. But it'll be interesting to see. And again, it's good to see those teams doing it, and I think it makes a change for the old the colour rush that they used to do a few years ago. So it's good to see them mixing up a wee bit.
Fantastic. Guys, we'll move on then to our Crew Deep Shot for this week, and we're going to have a wee discussion of the position. So following on from what we're talking about, the flagrant disrespect of running backs, I'm interested to hear how you guys would actually rank the positions in terms of importance to the team. So first of all, let's come across it. Let's just check and see what the main positions are. Right, so offensively, you've got the usual one: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker. You've got the O-line as well. Any specific positions in the O-line that you would maybe rank higher than the
Left tackle.
Left tackle, yeah.
Because that's predominantly your quarterback's blind side.
Unless you're Tua,
Unless
which
you're
is
Tua.
both sides. Okay. Any other O-line positions that we want to bring into this?
I suppose the centre is always key for your quarterback link up.
Yeah.
Right, so for the
first
O-line,
line
you've
of
got your
defence.
tackle, guard, you've got your centre. I think that's it, really, isn't it? That's all the.
I think, I mean, with your O-line, I think, I mean, Studs is 100% right. It all starts with the left tackle and protecting the blind side. After that, it probably is for me anyway, it's probably the right tackle, because it's about taking away the edge rushers and that threat to the quarterback. I mean, obviously, I think the really successful teams, of course, they're going to have a great front five. I think that the Cowboys are, as much as it pains me to say it, an example of a team that's really continued to draft. And the O-line, obviously, you've got like guys like Zach Martin, getting a lot of respect there. But the two tackles are, I think, the key ones for me.
Fantastic. And then when we're talking about the defensive line strength, so you've got your middle linebacker, your tackles, the ends, outside linebacker, cornerbacks, and safety. Right. Let's start at the very top then. Who's the cream of the crop? Who's the most important position? Who's the one that gets paid the big bucks? Are we going to say quarterback then for that?
It's got to be quarterback. It's a passing league.
No question.
To the quarterback.
Unless you're the 49ers.
Unless you're Stu, who'd be sitting with the wee guy in the Simpsons that goes, all opposed, me. Stu's going kicker. Right, so second then, what's the specific position we're going for second place then? Is that your left tackle?
I think it's a battle here because you said it's a passing league. Quarterback's your most important guy, so it's the left tackle is one of the options. But I think the other one I'll throw out there is it's the guy that's trying to get to the quarterback, the guy that the tackle's trying to stop, and that's your edge rushers.
Yeah. Any opposition to that? What we're going for? Craig, I'll come to you for this.
Don't know. I mean, I was thinking there. You're obviously quarterbacks at the very top there, but who's your quarterback going to try and chuck it to? Then your top wide receivers in the league, like you said, it's a passing league. It's a league where you're trying to get yards, and we're trending more towards that than the running game. So I agree, though. Your quarterback needs time to throw it, so he needs protection, and like you say, the guy that's providing the protection against is key as well. So I'd be kind of on the fence between your edge rush and wide receiver.
We'll go for it, Liam. What are you thinking here? See if we can get consensus.
I do like. I think I was going to go left tackle after quarterback. To be honest with you, I just think, as we alluded to already, if your line falls down, your quarterback's gone. So then you're stuck. Put it mildly.
I'll tell you what. Then what we'll do is we'll tier it, and we'll get the listeners to put it into an actual order. Then, so top tier, undisputed, is the quarterback. Second tier, then we'll go for left tackle, edge rusher. We'll put wide receiver in there as well.
Fair.
I think the receivers will get some love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, so wide receiver, tier 2, wide receiver. Let's have a wee look then. We'll go for tier 3. It's in the middle of the pack. Or is there anyone that stands out at the very bottom that we could separate from everybody else just now? Is it the running backs at the bottom of the tier here?
Are they still comparable to how much you're paying your top tight ends? I don't know. I have to look at it salary wise.
Surely kicker's got to be bottom of the pile.
Well, maybe.
Don't know. How much does a kicker get paid to say? Let's throw some love to. Let's throw some curveballs there. What about your long snappers and these kind of your special teams players that need a wee bit of love as well?
I think we're going to need a whole other hour to get
Really?
I'm throwing out some long snapper love here. Come on.
It's become a really good show here.
Right. Let's go for put down special teams. Right. So special teams, and people can sort out special teams. Are they going with so will we include kickers in that? We'll put kickers in separately for that one then. And
No, just to
put
be clear,
running backs in here.
I'm just going to throw out
including Travis Kelce in the wide receiver one, because we can't include him in the tight end one because he's a completely different animal.
He's not,
no doubt Gav and Stu would
as
say
a human being, never mind a tight end.
I believe they would be called outliers. I think that's what Travis Kelce is whenever it comes to statistical analysis here.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a bit of love to the long snapper though, because Craig asked that question. So I'll tell you what, Sport Track is the guys given the salaries and position group, and long snapper is the lowest paid position, but it's still called out as a position, unlike a lot of the other special teams players. So I mean, your average salary for a long snapper in the NFL this year is just over $1 million a year. Which is still a good bit above the league minimum, so it is valued as a position.
I love that. It's like the Rory Delap of NFL, isn't it? It's just they've got one thing. I'm really, really good at. It doesn't get used all the time, but whenever you need me, I can just launch one in there for you.
You have one job.
Right, so we'll put that up beside the quarterback then. Let's see, where would you put... Let's have a wee look at the O-line then. We've got left tackle. We've got up tier 2 guard, centre and right tackle. We're thinking maybe third tier, fourth tier.
I think your centre needs to have a good relationship with your QB, so I think your centre's...
Yeah, maybe rank them slightly higher.
Right, let's go centre then into fourth tier, and we'll put our guard and right tackle maybe fifth tier, or move them all up one.
I would have the right guard slightly higher again, because what Gav was saying, you're probably talking about you need to stop that edge rusher. So again.
Yep. Right, so okay, this is good. I'll make it look all fancy and nice and pretty, and we'll put some wee graphics up on Twitter and Instagram for everybody to slate and slag off. Right, fantastic. Okay. Let's see then. Looking at the defense then, outside linebacker, end tackle, middle linebacker. Anyone really jump out there?
I suppose it's not normally linebacker that has the what do you call it, the headset in. Often, it's often whoever's got the dot. If you want to call it that, would be up there. I think.
Yeah.
I think
your corners
and safeties. Stop the wide receivers. So I think that's when you were going with that as well. They're literally guys trying to stop them. So they've
absolutely
got to be high up there.
Okay, let's have them say tier 3 corner and safeties.
That's it. Your Sauce Garners and the likes. They need some love for what they do.
It's a sexy position. Let's be honest about it. They are the disruptors. They are the ones that are killing people's highlight reels, and it's absolute terminators in that position. I'm a big fan myself. Right, okay.
I seen a clip of Jair Alexander doing the griddy after breaking a Jefferson pass up right in front of him, and
he did.
Jefferson was raging. It was the going for taunting. I thought it was hilarious.
You give it out, you've really got to be able to expect to take that.
Again, he done it away from him. He didn't do it towards him, so I can see why it was the flag.
Yep, no taunting there. No taunting.
No taunting. Right, so let's see. Top tier. Godlike tier, we've got the QPs, of course. Second tier, we're thinking left tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver. Third tier, we've got our guard. We've got our centre, and we've got our tackle.
It was those poor running backs. Just sliding down the tiers.
Absolutely. Corners and safeties in the third tier there as well. And in the fourth tier, are we putting the running backs in there? Are we giving them a wee bit of love after stating their case earlier on?
I think so.
I don't know if you're following the money. It's where the money's going to the kickers, if you believe the folks at Sport Track.
That's it. That's the thing. So special team kickers, put them in with the guards and running backs, and let people decide from those tiers who gets the highest. Right, special teams and kickers. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers. Right, can maybe play about, maybe get the 5 tiers and let people decide themselves who goes where. It's a wee bit like capitalism, that isn't it? You've got the running backs, the workers who are getting absolutely no love whatsoever for all the hard work and the effort that they put in to line the pockets of the quarterbacks. That's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Right, good. What we'll do then, as I say, is I'll tap that up and we'll get that put out on Twitter, Instagram, and you can have a wee look yourself and let us know what would be your tier system. How would you place it out? Where would you put the running backs? Would they be getting a wee bit more love from yourselves than they have from the crew here? Capitalist pigs. Fantastic. We're going to Gav next for our third and top 10. Dan's third and top 10. Gav, come to you for that.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Keith. So actually, following on from, I guess, the kind of the loose theme for today's show around love for the running backs, we've got the running backs with the most games in their career with 100 yards rushing. So I think last pod I was on, Brian kind of did the rounds and giving everyone 3 shots, I believe. Maybe it's yourself, Keith.
Yes.
So maybe we'll kind of work round the room. So I'll start with Studs is on the screen next to me. So maybe give you first shot at the list.
So running backs with the most 100-yard rushing games.
Yes.
I'm going to go a homer pick here. I'm going to go. I've got his top on. I'm going to go Jamal Charles.
So Jamal Charles did not make the list.
I'm gonna go out with Vikings legend Adrian Peterson. Got to be in there, surely.
Yeah, so Adrian Peterson is on the list. He has 56 100-yard rushing games. He's the only player on the list not yet eligible for the Hall of Fame as well. So we do have quite a list of well-known players here, if that helps you on the way.
Okay, so we're talking Hall of Famers.
Indeed. I was going
Liam,
to go I was going to go more current, but I can't do that anymore. So I changed my pick. God.
I'll shout one out then. I'll go for Barry Sanders.
So Barry Sanders, Keith, is number 3 on the list. Spent his full 10-year career with the Lions. He has 76 100-yard rushing games.
Liam, you got a guy yet?
No, I've got a top on blank. I can't think of anyone.
No. Studs, Craig.
I'm thinking longevity, right? And the only thing that's putting me off is when you said that you're eligible for the Hall of Fame. Frank Gore, surely.
Oh,
he
Frank
has played a ridiculous amount of games.
That's a great shout.
It's a good shout. It's good, but it's not right. I'm afraid.
What about Tomlinson?
So LaDainian Tomlinson is, and there's a wee cheat in this because he is 10th equal. So we actually have 11 on this list.
I'll take
it. So yeah, we have LaDainian Tomlinson at 10th equal. He has 47 100-yard rushing games over an 11-year career with the Chargers of San Diego and the Jets.
Fantastic.
I've got one if nobody else has got one, but go for it, Smudger. You're throwing something out there.
I was just going to say, what about the Juice himself? What about OJ?
So OJ, OJ, a Hall of Famer and one of the best single seasons, but he is not on the 100-yard list.
I've seen it. There was just that one over 100 yards, but that was away for the LA Police. That one, isn't it?
Right. I've got one, and it's got to be on there, surely. Played for the Star, Emmitt Smith.
So Emmitt Smith, yeah, absolutely. Of the Cowboys and briefly the Cardinals, he is number 1 on the list. It's a top answer. So Keith, I don't know if we get the budget for a colour TV for Studs, but he's definitely got the top answer there.
And also a VCR included. So,
yeah, and longest career of the bunch actually at 15 years in the league.
What about
which is pretty rare.
What about what's this? The award, Walter Payton.
So yeah, the man behind the Man of the Year is number 2. He had 13 seasons in the league, and again, all those with the Bears.
Right, my last one then. I'm going to go for Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode himself.
So Beast Mode himself is not on the list, Keith.
I know I've had 3 there. There's one more that's just come in, and Brian is going to be raging if I didn't mention this guy. Obviously, recently left is surely Jim Brown.
So Jim Brown again is not on the list. We do have a couple of Steelers connections on the list. If anyone wants to take a couple of bonus shots,
Steelers connection. I don't know. This is where we're showing how many years we've been closely following the NFL. It's like if it's within the past decade, we're in with a chance, but before that, that's where it starts to get pretty tricky.
So I will say, if we're going through so I'll talk through from the bottom up. So we had at 10th equal, along with Mr. Tomlinson, we had Franco Harris, who is probably the oldest. And unfortunately deceased player. He was with the Steelers and the Seahawks for 13 years before retiring in '84. Also had 47 games. The only other member not in the Hall of Fame from this list is Fred Taylor of the Jags at number 9. He spent time with the Jags, but also with the Patriots. That's 49 games. Craig, of course, you hit Adrian Peterson at 8 with 56 games, and Mr. Peterson did that across quite an impressive 6 teams, as much as we'd like to think he was a Viking for life. With Curtis Martin of the Jets and the Patriots at 6th equal with 57. And then Edgerrin James, briefly a Seahawk, but more famous as a Colt and a Cardinal, also at 57. Our other Steeler at number 5 with Jerome Bettis with 61 100-yard games. And then the highest in the list at number 4 that we didn't get. Again, quite one of the older players, but holds the single season rushing record, is Eric Dickerson of both the LA Rams and Raiders, as well as the Colts and Falcons. 64.
You know, wearing like sports goggles or something. See the one that we wore the goggles.
That's your man. So yeah, Eric Dickerson was 64 games, and then our top 3, which we managed to cover with Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, and Barry Sanders. But I think that kind of really speaks to the theme, doesn't it? That Adrian Peterson, the only player from who's played in the last decade to actually make that list, and obviously a few of the guys. Obviously going back, as far as the 80s, but I think what's quite interesting is you're seeing career lengths like Emmitt Smith doing 15 years in the league. We've said the average time at the position now is more like 3. So I mean, these are, outliers in every sense.
So Eric Dickerson, he was like the Edgar Davids of the NFL back in the day.
That's the one.
Super. Thanks very much for that, Gav. We'll get another third and top 10 back to you next week as well. Craig, come to you for our statistic of the week, and it concerns a Mr. Deshaun Jackson.
It does. Just on the topic of Deshaun Jackson, I saw a stat courtesy of NFL Stats on Twitter this week that Deshaun Jackson holds the record of most career touchdowns of 60-plus yards with 26. So I thought that was quite a good wee statistic. Nobody has had more career touchdowns of 60-plus yards than Mr. Deshaun Jackson. So there you go.
Who was the closest behind him?
Closest behind him was Jerry Rice with 23. And then, you get Devin Hester, 21. Bobby Mitchell with 20. Lance Arworth with 19. Tyreek Hill, in terms of current players, is on 18. And then other kind of notable guys that are still in the league. I'm just going down here. Adrian Peterson way down at 16. So there you go. But anyway, Deshaun Jackson, top of the list, 26 touchdowns.
It is an interesting comparison to see we just talked about the 100-yard rushers and not many recent players in there, but you see the big home run plays, and it's all receivers coming up there from recent years. I think that the big stinger for me as a Giants fan, I'll remember it, is the miracle at the Meadowlands game where we thought heading into the last 10 seconds of the game that the Jackson had fumbled a punt at his own 30, only to backpedal and run it back 70 odd yards. That's quite a painstaking memory. So cracking career, but some pretty painful memories from my perspective.
Fantastic, guys. It's been wonderful. But before we finish up, is there any other business at all? Any bits of news that we've maybe missed, Studs?
Yeah, just a couple of wee bits that we missed touching on. So Steelers today have agreed a deal with Alex Highsmith, their pass rusher, for $68 million over 4 years. So again, that kind of tied in with the tiers we're saying about these guys getting after the quarterback and getting pretty decent money these days. And that's coming off the back of a career high 14.5 sack season for him. So he's obviously earned that one. And I suppose probably the biggest news of the last kind of weeks, probably Mr. D-Hop finally getting to a team and chasing after that ring and the stable organisation and the excellent quarter play he signed for the Titans.
He's following the footsteps of Julio Jones and Randy Moss is the place where receivers go to die.
Yeah.
It really is the wide receivers graveyard there, isn't it? It's like the wee bit that Simba runs into and the Lion King. He's never go to that place and the big Titans badge over.
The elephant graveyard.
Giant skeletons everywhere, aye.
See the number 2 Jones sitting in the background.
Mike Vrabel with Scar. Fantastic. Right, guys, that has been superb. Thank you very much. Liam, a pleasure as always, buddy.
Again, it's good to be back. It's been a wee while after I've been away on holiday, so good to get back on and have a chat.
Fantastic. Craig, great talking to you again, mate.
You too, boys. Been fun. Enjoyed that.
Thanks very much. Studs, Big Chief, on top form again.
Aye, I might seem to hold out after the spells at the start, but yeah, we seem to get there.
Fantastic. And Gav, thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate your effort.
Superb. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, everyone.
Gav, I must say, I love the wee cameo just behind you a wee second ago. The wee man coming by with the wee thumbs up.
You fan.
Yeah. Fantastic. We have been on the Charm Offensive and following loads of people on Instagram and Twitter. So if you're a new listener, thanks very much for sticking with us to the end. Please like, subscribe, and get in touch with the crew. We'd love to hear from more of you. We will be doing more work with looking at Britball, the East Kilbride Pirates, the local team for many of us here. So quite a few of us will probably try and get to a few games, especially next season as it comes up. Have a wee look at the flag football as well. We will be doing previews of each of the divisions in August, so that's something to look forward to. We're just finalising all the details there. Hopefully, if we can maybe get a wee venue, we're going to try and do a wee live show prior to the first red zone of the season. So get in touch if you'd be interested in that, or maybe some venues in and around the Glasgow area that you'd suggest that would be quite good for hosting the crew, looking to do a wee quiz, a Q&A, and looking ahead to the new season starting, kicking off with our brand new best friend, Scott Hansen. Studs, that was an excellent bit of Twitter work from yourself.
No, listen, the man is synonymous with the NFL, and anybody that's watched over the last few years from his Minneapolis Miracle highlight to just sitting on a Sunday watching him over Red Zone, it was great to get a shout out from him, and we mentioned from him on Twitter.
Outstanding. Really looking forward to Red Zone coming back first and foremost. And Sunday nights having to stick our family members, it's getting a wee bit much, isn't it? Thank you very much for listening. As I said, like and subscribe. Follow the crew on Twitter at Grid Irn-Cru. That's GRIDIRNCRU. That's the same for our Instagram and our threads. We'd love to hear from you and get involved. Hopefully get some more new voices on, especially in August when we're looking at all the different teams and the permutations for the league and the upcoming season. We're nearly there. 50 days to go. Thanks very much for listening, and the crew will speak to you next week.